Alrighty, hello and good evening, good afternoon. This is going to be video 704, which is going to kind of be like a little update. It's October 18th, 2020. My mom came and stayed for a couple days, and just a couple things I'd like to just note about her visit that might tie into somewhat of the channel's one trans at middle age. Part of being middle-aged usually, stereotypically, means that your parents are in decline. Their age, their mental faculties, their bodies, they're getting older and frailer. And this last time around, it's been almost a year since I had seen my mom, and quite a bit of decline. Lots of physical decline, but some mental decline, which I think would be normal. There is a history of Alzheimer's in our family. Her father had it. She had used to joke about she would get it. I joke about I'm going to get it. But I just think old age stuff. Things usually were hard to remember. She called me Robert a number of times, dead naming me, as it were, which I don't hold her. You can't, I think I've made mention of that before. Someone in their 80s, when they knew you as one name for 50 years, and they're in their 80s, it's not intentionally. It's just that's the way those channels, those deep memory grooves up there, those wax Edison records, it's the way they were formed. But I just wanted to note, a bit of a decline, and I didn't find myself making excuses for her with her memory. But again, I just think it's part of natural. I think our society kind of has this attitude that things are permanent and things are going to stay the way they are, and it's just not true. Things change over time. People change over time. We're all going to get old. We're all going to get wrinkly. It's just part of life. And, there's whole industries of pharmaceuticals and beauty products and everything to say, we're, hold back on that, and it's just not the case. That's just life. And I think in a way, a bit of a commentary too on the way things used to be versus how they are now. There was a time, and more so I'm going to say in Hispanic households, and I can say that only because my grandparents are from Cuba, and the way they took care of their parents and their grandparents, usually the grandparents move in with the parents, and the children end up taking care of, abuela. It's just part of that circle of life, as it were. And, that fractionation of the nuclear family, or the fractionation of that family, what do you do when, your parents, mom and dad, retire in this part of the country, and then or retire in this part of the country, and they're in the middle, and you go off to college, and you're living somewhere else, and you grow up and you maintain your family. It's very different from the way things kind of in a I'm going to say ideal, stereotypical way that maybe I was raised up in a romanticized way of saying, no, I'll take care of my grandparents, And both sets of my parents, my dad, he's in a retirement community in one part of the country. My mom's in a adults only retirement community in another part of the country. So hard to take care of them. But anyway, as far as with the channel goes, again, I think just if you are middle age and you haven't encountered it already, or if you're younger, prepare yourself for that day that your parents begin to lose, their mental faculties, and maybe, you know, maybe they did name you. It's not because they don't agree with you, or you know what I mean. It's not because they reject who you are. It may very well be that that's their, put them in their time, as it were, their frame of reference. Now that, again, that said, that doesn't negate someone who intentionally dead names you. Passive aggressive techniques. When you get a letter in the mail and it's addressed to your dead name, or it's addressed to, Mr. So and so or Mrs. So and so, which was your old gender. Those can be very, like I said, those can be attacks, and not to negate those, but I don't know. I have to put my parents in where they are in their life, and I know for me, I really can't expect them to, embrace me. Da 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 da. But anyway, so I thought I'd make that note, and then I did have an opportunity to meet with my sister, which is really kind of neat. If you watched the last video, and it was not oh, it's so nice to see you. I felt that way. Again, my hands are always out. Help. Palms up or palms down. Or no, this is your palm, right? Palms up. Like Jesus. Gandhi. Peace, 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 peace. Gandhi was more of a I forgive you. I made that mention before. Gandhi forgave the guy that assassinated him. He forgave him. And the Pope forgave the guy that shot him too. So, let's see. Where was I? So, my sister pulled me aside and just warned me a little bit about my mom. And that's why she wanted to, and then she was off. Got in her car and drove away. No, we'll talk at Christmas, or we'll talk, or what. I don't know. The eternal optimist in me hopes that it could be a start. Could be a start of something, even if it's just to take care of our mother as she gets, less and less mentally able to, and whatnot. So that's something that kids do when their parents grow up and get frail and die. It can lead to some growth and some understanding. We can hope. That said, just kind of where we are. We're a couple weeks away from an election, and this morning in the news, it talked about a city in Texas. It might have been a county seat. I think it was a county office that had passed a resolution that social workers could deny service to transgender folks and LGBTQ plus whatever folks based off their religious preferences. And that alarms me a little bit. I think if things go the way they've been the last 4 years under a Trump administration, there's and especially if the conservative justice gets put on the Supreme Court, I mean, we could see our rights and everything kind of taken away from us. President makes an executive order, rules change, legislation passes. The court says, it's your right as a citizen to dissent, and you don't have to provide services, and healthcare companies don't have to provide services on a pre-existing condition. They're no longer going to cover your hormones. I mean, all that's a possibility. It's a bit of a not to scare you or whatnot, but it's a potential. It's a possibility. And I'm hoping that if that is indeed the case that goes down, that our, you know, um, the yardage that we've gained on the field will be enough. I know my company has created inclusion and diversity groups and organizations. I'd be very surprised if they all of a sudden in you know, the next cycle of open enrollment that they say, oh, we're no longer going to cover trans stuff because it goes against, their inclusion and diversity and sensitivity training. And I mean, it just goes against what I would call humanity, treating your fellow person with dignity and respect. And I mean, that's just, that's the society. And it almost makes me wonder what would happen if we did go down something like that. If there would be, marches on Washington, and almost a second or a third, civil rights. You know, I think I've said it before. We all need to band together. You know, all of the minorities. If this doesn't continue, and not to take too much of a political vibe on a channel, but if it does come down to that, there's no reason why Black Lives Matter, transgender, LGBTQ, immigrants, immigrations, the dreamers, the DACA people. I mean, there's no reason why we all can't come together and just, march on Washington. Stand up against oppression and tyranny, which kind of goes back to the way America was founded, doesn't it? Really, that's just about it. Things are going well. I did put some papers in, and we'll see what comes out of that. That might change my life a little bit, and my daughter's life a lot, and so we just have to wait and see. And had a bit of a crying jag. Last video I had one, but the other day I had a bit of a crying jag when I realized that I was once again in the position where I had to fight somewhat for what I believed in and my identity. At the county clerk's office, um, you know, they just assume that dads are deadbeats, and when you have a dad who's looking for justice and fairness, it goes somewhat against the model. And then when the dad is actually a trans woman, it's like I don't know. There's a degree of ookiness or kookiness or creepiness that goes along with it, and you're just looked at like, ew. But we'll see. We'll see. Count your blessings and all that happy horse shit. And really, that's just about it. So I'm gonna sign off, and we'll see where we're at. We don't know. Like I said, we're about 2 weeks away from the election. We won't know the results probably for a couple days. According to President Trump, we may never know the real winner. But I have a feeling within a month we'll know. Within a couple weeks we'll know. And I would almost expect a bit of what I'm going to call sore loserness from Trump if he does lose, and a bit of a challenge. But, when it comes down to it, a career politician is not going to go against the American Constitution. They're going to turn on Trump because he doesn't he's on his way out. And if you want to stay in Washington and you're a Republican, you want to distance yourself from him a little bit. And I think that's in the same token that if he had popular public opinion, you would gravitate towards him to ride his momentum. But right now, again, if I was a career Republican, I would want to distance myself somewhat, and I've seen that in Senator McConnell, who, again, is kind of the lapdog, trying to say, well, we'll stand up for America, and there will, I don't know, we'll see. In that note, sorry, I will sign off here and wish you the best of luck in your transition. And I've made mention of this before. We need a different word, or we just need to understand that transitioning is not a single event, but rather, a journey that leads forever along the horizon, as they say. Your transition. Um, what do we need to say? Maybe I can just say your life. Best wishes for you in your life and how you decide to live it. That might be a better. Anyway, till next time. Good luck. Bye bye. Stay safe.